Before we get into the player grades from this awesome Bengals versus Eagles matchup, I need to talk to you about a sponsor for today's video, and that is my Bookie. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the NFL is back and the NBA playoffs are in full swing, which can only mean one thing. It's winning season at my Bookie. I don't know about you guys, but for me, a game is 10 times more exciting when I'm putting money on it. Sometimes I have a gut feeling about a matchup, or sometimes I'm just betting on my own team because they're my own team. Go Eagles. Regardless, whether you've been betting for years or you're ready to play for the first time, my Bookie is your best bet this season. With the biggest online selection of bets and props, they've made it simple to win and easy to withdraw your cash. Right now, they've got a $100,000 super contest for only a $10 entry fee, and they're giving away $5,000 in cash prizes every 4 weeks. You would be crazy not to invest your sports knowledge and that kind of potential return on your investment. $10 to win thousands? Sign me up. You can too at MyBookie. Just use the promo code C4 to claim your 100% deposit match all the way up to $1,000. That means if you put $100 in, they'll give you another $100, and it's an easy way to jumpstart your bankroll. NFL, NBA, and MLB, they've got it all on tap, and it's never too late to get started on your winning season exclusively at MyBookie. A fucking tie? You play for the fucking tie? We're here for the grades. Fire this whole team into the fucking sun. A tie. The last time they played, it was a meme. Donovan McNabb. I didn't even know you could tie in football. And they play for the tie. Chance to kick a 64-yarder. Fourth and I don't know what it was. And they punt it and play for the tie. Heads need to roll. This is disgusting. This is the worst Philadelphia Eagles football team I have seen in my lifetime. As a Philadelphia Eagles fan. In my lifetime, just in general, you go back, you had the low point in the 80 years when we had Juan Castillo. But an issue with that team is that the talent wasn't really there. That wasn't a team that was coming off a Super Bowl win. That wasn't a team that was kind of all in and had a bunch of expensive veteran players. And then you look at the down years in the Chip Kelly. That was just, everything was kind of on edge. There was locker room frictions, all that stuff. The distractions at the end of the Chip Kelly time that you kind of it's kind of a shit show. But given the fact that the talent that we have on the team, how this roster is structured to be a win now team, and you play for a fucking tie at home against the 0-2 Bengals. We deserve to lose. I want to go 0-16 so that we could just get Trevor Lawrence. And yes, that is what we do. If Philadelphia is at the first overall pick, they're picking Trevor Lawrence. I don't care. We're the court. If you're going to fucking pick Jalen Hurts in the second round when you have so many other areas of concern, you get Trevor Lawrence at pick 1. Yes, sir. Also, do another hypothetical. Salary cap, because it doesn't really exist for Philadelphia because we can find ways to shuffle guys. Why don't we trade for Aaron Rodgers, right? Clearly, Green Bay got Jordan Love. They're not going to want him to sit past this year. There could be a nice way to, let's ship off Zach Ertz. Send Zach Ertz for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to put that tweet up right now. I'm going to say, Zach Ertz for Aaron Rodgers. Trade. Do it this offseason. There we go. I don't know. Grades. I'm literally fucking speechless, man. This team is so bad, so boring. It's one of those things, if you're a fan of a team that's not really good, you have that expectation, right? Yeah, I always get when I post a boohoo, oh, you're not a football team fan, a Lions fan, but there's just a little something different with Philadelphia because all those other teams aren't just coming off of that peak period of being really good. So when you're Philly, you kind of have to tune in every week. It's just well, if they put it all together, we should be good at it. We should be a team that's contending for the playoffs. And it's just not a fun way to spend your Sunday. So I made an official tweet. For this 2020-2021 football season, I am now a Florida Gators football fan who, when I watch the NFL, I like the Eagles. That's it. Gators first and foremost. They give me a reason to want to cheer for them. I can't remember the last time I bought a piece of Philadelphia Eagles gear. I don't know if that's my way of subconsciously showing my displeasure with this team because I'm not financially supporting them. Whatever. It is what it is. It's nothing big, but I was just thinking about it. When was the last time I actually wanted to buy a piece of Eagles gear to support the team or get a jersey of a new I cannot remember. So I'm going to take that budget that I usually save to buy, like, Christmas and stuff and I'm just going to go Gator stuff. I'm going to get a Kyle Trask jersey or something. My God, Philadelphia sucks. Let's do player grades here. Carson Wentz threw it 47 times, 225 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Both the interceptions were, I guess the first one wasn't really his fault per se, because it was obvious, just a hit a hand, deflected, fell on the arm of another guy. But you're Carson Wentz, one of the biggest quarterbacks in the NFL, and he has far too many balls batted down at the line of scrimmage. Second interception was horrific. Absolutely horrific. You could tell. I was saying to my buddies that when we were watching this game that, first of all, this is a win Wentz needed. Like, for Doug Peterson to kick it, like if Carson Wentz, we know the talent with Carson Wentz. You can look at the MVP season. Even throughout this year, while he's been memed and rightfully memed, there's still those flash plays of like, yeah, holy shit, that's still like that MVP guy, Carson Wentz. But his confidence is negative right now. Like this guy here is like borderline, like, call a hotline. He's that depressed. To get him an overtime victory, like that would be huge for his confidence, for his momentum. And then you pull him off to fucking punt it? Like, this is like everyone is bad. Carson Wentz is playing bad. Doug Peterson is making it even worse. He's exacerbating, that's the proper word, right? The entire situation. And you look at Carson Wentz, and I was like, I know what he's going to do. He's going to start running it more. He had that hole in the back of his head, injuries, right? Carson Wentz was a mobile quarterback. Carson Wentz was a guy that 300, 400, 500 rushing yards, like that's like what he was going to do. He was going to get, 30, 40 scrambling. He was going to get you a couple first downs in a game scrambling. It hasn't been there. It's always been like, well, I'm kind of glad he's not running because of the injury stuff. I feel like now with Carson Wentz's back being against the wall, as big as it's been in his career, like even going back to North Dakota State, I think that's what you're going to start seeing more. He's got to start pulling the ball down and scrambling, taking more hits, and being a little bit more riskier with his legs. And I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. But the biggest issue, above all, with Carson Wentz is his confidence. Because with confidence, you get a confident quarterback, you see what happens with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Josh Allen has tweaked his mechanics, sure, but he's still Josh Allen. But this is a guy that's playing with probably the most confidence outside of probably Russell Wilson in the NFL right now, and you're seeing it. You're seeing that confidence come through with the throws and the decision-making that he's having. And you're seeing the exact opposite side of that spectrum in Carson Wentz. And you know how you make that fucking worse? Is you play for a tie. At least let your guy go out there and say, hey, paid you $100 million. This is not an ideal scenario. See if you can win it for me. See if you can win it for me. And you fucking punt it. Again, another week where the blame is going to be falling on Carson Wentz. I still think more needs to be shuffled on Doug Peterson. And we'll get to the conclusion of how I think Philadelphia gets out of this at the end of this video. But let's get through the grades. So for Carson Wentz, I'm going to give him C-. I do like the fact that he was scrambling. I do like the fact that he was making plays with his legs, and that is definitely something that we're going to need. Also, the injuries, man. It is something that last year, you got that pass. Last year, Carson Wentz got that. We had practice squad receivers, right? But it's another year, man. You got to find a way to make plays. I can't go back-to-back years kind of taking some of the blame off of Carson Wentz because of the injuries at wide receiver. But in this game, Deshaun Jackson went out with an injury. Dallas Goedert went out with an injury. Like, I'm convinced that the Eagles training staff, it's just like most training staffs are like cutting edge stretching and physical training and diets and nutrition and stuff. I'm convinced Philadelphia like swaps the water out with Sprite. They're against, like they're very much and vocally against stretching and proper preparation. Like, all right, off the bus, let's just start running 40-yard dashes, boys, until everyone fucking tears a hamstring and shit. Like, big picture, coming back around. I'm not going to be overly harsh, though, today on Carson Wentz's grade because, there's no playmakers for him. Like, again, it's another thing where, like, Greg Ward is the go-to guy, and it didn't help. So I'm not going to be extremely negative and extremely harsh on Carson Wentz because, the playmakers also aren't there. So I'm giving him a C-. Miles Sanders, 95 yards. Again, need to run him more. Miles Sanders is getting 5 yards a carry. So many times that we have just these terrible play calls. Just stay with the run. You know how else you can kind of take some pressure off your quarterback is giving it to the running back who in the first 2 games since he's been back from injury is averaging over 5 yards a carry and one of the best young running backs in the National Football League. Except it's just, let's throw it 47 fucking times. Let's not run it with Miles. Like, can Doug Peterson for once alter a game plan so that we play like Tennessee Titans? Can we just run the ball? Commit. That's how the Niners made it to the goddamn Super Bowl last year. They just ran the ball. Can we do that, please? Boston Scott is good enough, and Miles Sanders is good enough. And if they're not good enough, there's so many other, if you want a power running back, LeGarrette Blount's probably doing nothing. He can come off the goddamn couch and probably improve this backfield if you want that. But run the ball. Miles Sanders, I'm giving him B+. He had a real bad screen pass at the end of the game. I think he just dropped it. Did not really look like a high effort play. But Miles Sanders has been sensational. Carson Wentz had 65 yards and a rushing touchdown again. That's probably the biggest positive you can take, is that's Carson Wentz, who is not a dual threat, but he's kind of a dual threat, is starting to play like that again. Receiving, Greg Ward, 8 catches, 72 yards and a touchdown. Greg Ertz, 7 catches, 70 yards. And then after that, no one had more than 20. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, 2nd-round pick in 2019. The man we drafted over DK Metcalf during our wide receiver crisis last year did fuck all. Today, Doug Peterson, before all week, was like, oh man, I have trust in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I can't wait to get him out there, man. We got trust in him. No fucking catches! It's a joke. It is an absolute joke. And I get overreactionary. Twitter is a thing. I get someone like me that talks about a lot of football is always going to be that extra arrogant. I firmly believe, and I don't use this lightly. I firmly believe on my son's life that I could draft better than Howie Roseman. That's how, like, dead ass, deadpan serious. I have no fucking credentials outside of I watch a lot of college football. I guarantee I could draft better than Howie Roseman. And that's not braggadocious, because I guarantee most people that are watching this video right now could probably fucking draft better than Howie Roseman, okay? But the amount of just like, oh, look, Jalen Reagor's hurt and has done nothing. And then you see Justin Jefferson, right? Justin Jefferson, like 200 yards of the Vikings, won like 2 picks after him. And you look at T. Higgins, a guy that slipped out of the first round, went to the second round of Cincinnati. Oh, he just had 2 touchdowns today. Awesome. Like, sort your shit out, man. Like, I'm thinking, like, anyways, we're grading the receivers here. Let me get the box score out here again. C, special teams was actually on point. Jake Elliott made all of his kicks. Cam Johnson was punting very well. Special teams gets an A. Special teams actually was outstanding for Philadelphia today. Darius Slay has been unreal. Absolutely the best player on this team right now. Defense played well. We got pressure. 2 sacks, Brandon Graham. 2 sacks, Derek Barnett. 1.5 sacks, Jalen Mills. Fletcher Cox with a sack. Josh Sweat is looking really good. Defense it's almost like just another issue. Like, how many problems does Philly have? We have quarterback problems. We have head coach problems. We have general manager problems. And then we have this like bipolar. Our defense showed up against Washington, did nothing, and got completely embarrassed by the Rams. Showed up again today against the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, we had that sticks play on 3rd and 15 that they just got because Jim Schwartz will always remind us that he's just not a great DC, but he could be a good DC. We got pressure today. Defense, this one's not on them. I'm giving the defense a B+. But as we sit here at the end of this video, I think it's completely valid to say, how does Philadelphia fix this? And there's no way. There's no way to fix it, because to do something rash would be completely against character for Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson will fall on his sword for his guys. So it's not like we're gonna fire Press Taylor, the quarterback coach. It's not like we're gonna make something impulsive and bring in like an OC out of the blue and stuff like that. Or Doug Peterson relinquish play. He's not gonna do it. Doug Peterson will fall on his sword for his team. And then it's like, all right, like, so knowing that something like that could stir things up. The only thing would be like trading someone, I guess. Like making like oh my God. And then who do you trade? You trade Zach Ertz, the only guy that's making plays right now for the offense. It's they're in this purgatory. There's no way. Philadelphia is so hampered with salary cap that there's no big player that they can trade for. They have no salary cap wiggle room whatsoever. And then you're looking at like trading. Well, then you're in selling mode, and then you're giving up on the season. And at 0-2-1, I mean, if Dallas loses tonight, they're 1-2. Philly's only a game back in the NFC least. So it's There's no answer. I honestly have no answer for you. And as we go towards the off season, I don't know. It's one of those things where the issue, it's like if you give, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts, but say Philly sucks and you give Doug Peterson Trevor Lawrence. I could totally see Trevor Lawrence excelling under Doug Peterson, right? And it's also in the same regard, I don't think it's necessarily Carson Wentz's problem, because I could see if Philly did something rash and got rid of Carson Wentz going to another team and another offense and playing very well. So, like, I can't confidently say for the life of me what is the problem and how to fix what's going on with Philadelphia. But I definitely would like to hear you guys give me some hot takes in the comments. How would you solve this issue for the Philadelphia Eagles? Because I think I firmly believe, the only thing I can say is I firmly believe is that it's not all on Carson Wentz. I think more people need to put a lot more blame on Doug Peterson and understand that Carson Wentz is playing awful, but it's not all on Carson Wentz. I think a lot more needs to be put on Doug Peterson and how he's handling everything. Maybe, I don't know if I want to say more so than Carson Wentz underperforming, but it's like 1A, 1B if I'm ranking what the hell's wrong with this team. So we played for the tie, and San Francisco next week. That's going to be fun. What team, we're pretty much going to be for the Niners. What team can make it to halftime with the least players having to go on IR? That's pretty much how that game's going to go. So that does it for me today, guys. Thanks to my bookie. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.